Everyone ready? We ready?
All right, good evening, everyone. It is 6:36, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and take roll. Vice Chair LaFleur.
Present.
Commissioner Mirza.
Here.
Okay, and welcome, our new commissioner. So we're happy to have you. Commissioner Ono.
Here.
Commissioner Siegel.
Here.
Myself, Mianco Chambers, and also noted, please, that the Commissioner Marigo is absent today. All right, so we have two new incoming commissioners who are unavailable this month and working on completing their onboarding process, so we look forward to seeing them in September when we reconvene. Commissioner Briscoe Schofield and alternate Commissioner Opera, I think. We'll find out. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and move to item number 2 and the approval of the agenda. So moving on to item number 2, is there a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay. A motion by Commissioner Ono, a second by Commissioner Steele. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, all in favor, 5-0. Item number 3, brief announcements from staff, commissioner, and council liaisons. If the staff would like to start with any of their brief announcements, and then we can move to it looks like we have our council member Dales here, and then any commissioners as well. So I'll hand it over to you, Deanne.
Good evening. We just have a couple of brief announcements tonight, and both revolve around outreach, which is one of the favorite things that we like to do. The first is our skate park. As we've presented here in the past, we have gone into contract with Grindline, who is doing a design build for our new skate park and community park. We held our first outreach session a couple months ago, and it was very well attended. It was plus 60 people or so for that meeting of all ages. Really wonderful turnout. And we had the second iterative process to the design process just 2 weeks ago, actually. And the outpouring of folks was incredible. We had at least 50 people at that meeting. And the feedback, basically the point of that meeting was to take a look at the rendered concept for the skate park and to provide any feedback on that rendered concept. And there was they went person by person. There was a lot of feedback, but positive feedback. So at this point, Grindline goes back to their headquarters, and then they kind of finesse the end result there, and then they'll ship out the final concept to staff. And we will work with our skate park liaison group, the actual local skaters who have been involved from the outset of this project, to go to the next step, which will be demolition. And we anticipate doing that in late fall this year. So things are moving right along with that, but we're really proud about the outreach on that project. It's been extremely successful. Secondly, we just hosted our Playfields Inclusive Playground outreach meeting on site, and that was 3 weeks ago, I believe. We had June 24th. We also had great a showing for that as well. Many parents came. There was actually a few children who came as well. We had all of our boards out there showing various concepts relating to plantings, relating to the equipment that was being proposed, and then 2 potential concept designs. And folks were able to put dots on the designs that they preferred. And then we released another survey out to the community, again, to get the folks who couldn't show up to that meeting to vote on the concepts. So all of those results are being looked at by our consultant, GHD, and they will be delivering to us the final concept plan, and then that plan will be shipped off to the state for our grant submission. As a reminder, we are going to apply for the Land Water Conservation Fund grant. That is a matching grant, and we don't know what the full project cost is at this point, but we will be asking for as much as we possibly can, knowing that we have to have matching funds in reserve as well for us. So we're really excited about that. The grant deadline is August 5th, so we'll report back the next time we meet as to how that submission went. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Davis, please go ahead.
First of all, I want to say hey. I've been unable to come in person to the prior meetings, but I wanted to let you know I've been watching them and such, and I'm welcome to our new commissioner here, and thank you all for your service on doing this. I shared with you earlier that when I first was getting involved in city activities, the one commission my wife wanted me on was this one. Because we walked the Greenbelt, we're in the parks, we're doing all that. So I didn't quite make it onto this one, but instead I got onto council, and I insisted that I wanted to be the liaison to this one. So I'll do my best to be here more often in person, but again, I thank you, and I thank you as well as staff for all that you're doing to make this a great commission and a great department. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, commissioner members, does anyone have any announcements? Go ahead, Commissioner Allen.
I just had a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to take some brief time to thank our past commissioners, Tim Hurt, Eric Fink, and Georgine Redmond. I know it takes a lot of time of everyone's busy day to attend these meetings, and all right, I'll repeat myself. I'd like to thank Tim Hurt, Eric Fink, and Georgine Redmond for serving on the commission and the time they devoted to our discussions. And then I had one question for staff. If you can briefly tell me, is there an update for Natalie's Corner? I know the last discussion, maybe on the website or from someone I heard, maybe in August there might be an opening. I was wondering, how are we finalizing that date? That's it. Thank you.
We understand the excitement around the grand opening. We are very excited to open the facility. We are working through some last-minute programming related to the actual water features themselves. So they're on a synchronized program, and so we're waiting for that distributor to come out and train staff on how that all functions. And then after that, we will get the health department sign off and then the building department sign off. So that's kind of a sequential order of things that need to occur over the next several weeks. We're very confident that we can open at some point in August, but we're just not going to commit to a date at this time because we don't want to get everyone excited for a particular date and then not be able to meet that. But things are moving right along on schedule. If you go by there today, for example, you can see that the artwork is being installed on the columns. So it actually does say Natalie's Corner now on the columns. It looks very beautiful. All of the landscaping is in. So it's really just these last finishing touches.
All right, thank you. And I would encourage commissioners and folks who are listening to take a look at the Facebook page, because that's typically where it's announced. And I think it'd be a great grand opening when it comes up in August. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Anyone else? Any comments? No? All right, okay. So at this time, we're gonna move to item number 4. This is public comment. So the public comment section is for the commission to receive comments. Just a reminder, except for brief questions for clarification, no discussion or action may be taken on any item that is not listed on the agenda. During public comment, a member of the public may address the commission on matters not listed on the agenda or are listed on the consent calendar. If possible, citizens should reserve their comments for regular matters listed on the agenda at the time the item is considered by the commission. Speakers will be asked to line up at the podium and state their name for the record, and comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have any public comment?
One short. Sorry.
Good evening, Commissioners. Heidi Sametz. I'm a former City Davis Planning Commissioner, and I've served on the General Plan Update Committee and the subsequent Housing Element Steering Committee. In May, a group I'm working with came to this commission to respectfully ask to agendize a discussion about the importance to preserve the Wild Horse Golf Course, which is designated park. As you can see by the general plan map I just gave you, you see the P that's on Wild Horse Golf Course. Now that is unlike the old Cerro Golf Course. It doesn't have a P on it, it's not designated park, and neither is the municipal golf course. What's very important to understand about the Wild Horse Golf Course is it is a public golf course. It's privately owned, but it is a public golf course because it can be used by anyone. It does not require a membership. So it is a public public park. So last month of May, I had gone through the history of the genesis of the Wild Horse Golf Course, and that has a conservation easement. That was just for historical reasons. I was explaining that. I was not asking you guys to have any kind of a land use input on this. What we're asking is that what we need is input from this commission to defend and protect the recreational uses of that park. So it's important to understand that two proposals have been made to try to develop significant parts of this golf course. And the owner has withdrawn the applications because there was so much opposition to this. But he made clear that he's going to come back. So we're trying to get ahead of this and to educate and to help you understand the issue. And to understand the importance that the precedent setting of this, if this project was allowed to go forward and develop this park, that sets a precedent for other parks to be developed. And just to make clear that this is in your purview, and if you see the language I had in my letter that I had submitted yesterday, it says right in the general plan that the purview of this commission is to maintain a Recreation Parks Commission to advise the council on all matters related to parks and recreation. So what we're asking respectfully is that we just would like some time to get the commission up to speed of what is going on here and understand the concerns and, basically the danger of what could happen here. If it happens here, it can happen in other parks, and that, I know, is your purview, is to protect the parks and their recreational use. And this is especially important because it's, there's adult recreation as well as children recreation, and we have a very large adult population needing recreation as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, Commissioners and Councilor Dios. My name is Margie Longo, and myself and my family are avid golfers at Wild Horse for 26 years, and I was secretary of the Northern California Golf Association chapter at Wild Horse for 3 years recently. I want to clarify some things that came up at the May 21st meeting after our group gave public comments. First of all, general plan designations and zoning are very different things. General plan designations are very general, as the name states, and zoning is very specific. The general plan designation for Wild Horse Golf Course land is park. In contrast, its zoning is a very detailed document that regulates Wild Horse Golf Course. To repeat, park is the general plan designation of Wild Horse Golf Course. It is not its zoning. It is important that this commission knows the difference because the current general plan requires this commission to advise the council on all matters related to parks and recreation. Wild Horse Golf Course is on parkland and it provides recreation to the city of Davis. Therefore, this commission should be able to discuss park or recreation matters concerning the past and perceived future of Wild Horse Golf Course. So I want to remind you that there have been 2 proposals to develop Wild Horse Golf Course land, as Eileen Sam was just reminding you, in 2018 and 2024. Both were withdrawn after community opposition. The second proposal would have converted Wild Horse from a championship-length 18-hole golf course to a small-capacity 9-hole golf course by removing 75 acres of parkland. We have heard that another proposal will be submitted soon, which is supported by a letter to the city manager saying that the applicants still believe that Wild Horse Golf Course land is a logical and appropriate location for housing. The general plan includes a clear standard. All feasible alternatives should be considered prior to converting parkland to other uses. If this standard is not honored, it could have grave consequences for the parkland of the city of Davis by opening the door for all parkland to be put on the chopping block. Second, we are asking this commission to address the parkland and recreational aspects of Wild Horse Golf Course, not the conservation easement. As it says in the general plan, parks and recreation are the responsibility of this commission. Our interaction with the Open Space Commission have centered only on the deed of conservation easement. Third, Wild Horse is the only public 18-hole championship-length golf course in Davis or within 20 miles. Wild Horse Golf Course was approved by a vote of the public in 1995 by Measure R. As a result, the owner is required to operate Wild Horse as a public golf course with 100% of the tee times available to the public. Wild Horse Golf Course serves the public, including our high school golf teams, youth, and seniors with affordable, accessible recreation. The Davis Municipal Golf Course, by contrast, is not a full-length golf course and is already at capacity. Reducing Wild Horse footprint at all would increase pressure on the city to expand the municipal golf course, a project that was shelved in 1997 due to cost and would now easily exceed $10 million. The cost and pressure for the city to expand Davis Municipal Golf Course should set off alarm bells within this commission. So once again, we are asking you to add an agenda item for education or discussion related to past and future benefit and value of Wild Horse Golf Course to parks and recreation in Davis as a whole. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Karen Shaw. Except for 5 years, I've been a resident of Davis since 1972. I live in the Sycamore West 8th Street area. I returned to golf in 2009 when we became empty nesters. The majority of my 175 golf rounds in 2024 were played at Wild Horse, but like many others, started at Davis Muni in the Monday Niners Club, played after work. According to a recent Golf Journal article, more than 70% of current core golfers can trace some of their earliest golf experiences to municipal courses. Not surprisingly, Davis Muni is impacted with heavy play and is unfortunately not a full-length, what we call championship golf course. Wild Horse is the only public championship golf course within 20 miles of Davis. Wild Horse is also a 164-acre conservation easement within the city limits that is a restriction of the property, is in perpetuity, and independent of ownership. The deed for the conservation easement is solely held by the city of Davis and was approved to be park land use in a citywide election in 1995. My aim is to have the city of Davis step up and protect this public resource against a third attempt to develop part of the Wild Horse Golf Course for not permitted by the easement housing. The most recent development plan was withdrawn last year, and a third attempt is anticipated to be submitted later this year. I have some other myths about golfers and golf courses that I thought you might find interesting. Public access versus exclusivity. 73% of the almost 16,000 golf courses in the United States are public, contrary to perception that golf is exclusive to private clubs. Within 20 miles of Davis, 2 courses are private, 3 are public. Losing Wild Horse, or even part of Wild Horse, to housing development would severely impact public course access that is apparently more accessible across the U.S. to others. Only Wild Horse is a public championship course in this radius. Wild Wings is a 9-hole course. The other 9-hole course in Woodland is now an unused empty field. Golf's rising diversity. Efforts are being made to improve inclusivity with programs aimed at attracting players from various backgrounds. I'm going to skip some of this because I see I'm getting short. Golf courses are increasingly adopting sustainable practices and serve for habitats of wildlife. Wild Horse is an Audubon designated neighborhood golf course bordered by ag buffer natural trail. Water conservation is front and center. It's good for conservation and good for business practice. Profitability. Wild Horse is, in a conversation with the owner, profitable and is known parties are interested to purchase Wild Horse and continue to run it as a golf course. That's all I have time for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Brad Sutton, I live in Wild Horse subdivision. Parks and open space are critical to physical and mental well-being of our families, especially youth in the age of multiple screens and lure of social media. Outdoor fresh air activities benefit us all. I coached youth soccer in Davis for 12 years and raised 3 children here, and I've witnessed the benefits of recreation on our youth and the need for multiple recreational venues, from tot lots, soccer fields, walking, running, bike trails, and yes, golf courses. Wild Horse Golf Course is included in the land use map of the current parks master plan. It's not designated for residential infill. The Davis General Plan standards state, quote, feasible alternatives shall be considered prior to converting parkland to other uses, unquote. There are times when parks have to have a different use, such as if there's a freeway alignment or a light rail alignment or a levee. Sometimes parks need to be converted to other uses that make sense based on the alignments and such. But the feasible alternatives shall be considered prior to converting any parkland to other uses. I don't see the need in this case for that. We live on small lots in Davis, but we share the community parks and open space. The conservation easement is for the use of Wild Horse for a public purpose, in this case, a public golf course. Conservation easements are perpetual, permanent restrictions. I've raised 3 children here, and all 3 have learned to play golf at the Wild Horse Golf Course. They've all taken lessons there. My youngest son is 17. He continues to take 1 to 2 lessons a week from Michael Thomas. It's great he can walk to the lessons, and it's been a real benefit for him. The Wild Horse Golf Course also provides other benefits, such as when it rains, the rain is able to percolate into the ground and fill the ponds. Sometimes we have flooding during heavy rain events, and the severity of storms keeps increasing with the increase in greenhouse gas emissions. Davis golf courses are at capacity for tee times and lessons, and by decreasing the Wild Horse Golf Course in half, it would eliminate Davis's only 18-hole championship golf course. There are many tournaments at Davis. It brings in a lot of people from out of town. In addition, there's wildlife that use the golf course: rabbits, coyotes, raccoons, possums, various birds. The golf course improves the health of us all. Originally it was set up to be a mitigation for the master plan for Davis, or the Wild Horse subdivision, and it was designated as a permanent, perpetual restriction.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Hello, thanks for having us today. My name is Jeff Merritt. I've lived in Davis since 2015. I'm here because my wife grew up here. She's a townie. We moved here because it's a great place to have a family, to raise a family. And we love having the opportunity to use the Wild Horse Golf Course. I walk on the trail weekly with friends as part of being outdoors and enjoying part of nature. I have taken golf lessons, I've played golf. We've used the driving range, and so has my family. What has been talked about by the current owner multiple times will impact the use of that property. And so I'm imploring this council to get involved and be proactive to help the community understand what the purpose of the park is. Last time we were here, it seemed like there was some resistance to get involved, which caused a little bit of confusion, because when I look at what is on the website, it says that the job of this council is to advise related to Parks and Rec, which includes reviewing and making recommendations related to city recreation activities and programs, review and make recommendations related to park planning and operational policies, participate in public outreach related to city parks and recreational activities, and serve as the lead commission on implementation efforts of the Park and Facilities Master Plan. And as you've heard, this is designated as a park. This seems to be well aligned for this committee to be proactive and help the community understand the purpose of parks. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Bill Verno, and I'm a professor in the vet school here at Davis, and a long-time Davis resident. I've lived here since 1994. So it's deeply concerning to both myself and I think many other Davis residents, both in Wildhorse, where I reside, but further afield in Davis, that there have been at least 2 proposals to build homes in the Wildhorse, on the Wildhorse Golf Course, as you've heard, in 2018 and 2024, and there are indications that there will be another proposal soon. So Wildhorse Golf Course was approved by a Measure R citizen vote in 1995. As a result, it's required to be a public golf course, and 100% of the tee times are available to the public. It is designated as parkland. Many of us believe that residential development on this land would violate both the spirit and the letter of our city's planning. What we are not making more of, for sure, is open space. And so open space is constantly under threat, and it's shrinking. Wildhorse Golf Course is an Audubon-designed neighbourhood public golf course bordered by the Ag Buffer Nature Trail. I personally see many Davis citizens use and thoroughly enjoy this space every day, both playing golf and using the nature trail, simultaneously exercising and enjoying nature, as the trail is a really rich source of wildlife. As such, it very, very clearly fulfills all 4 core benefits of parks, as identified in the Parks and Facilities Master Plan Citizen Survey. It provides access to nature. Number 2, it promotes health and wellness. It protects the environment, and it strengthens community bonds. This issue falls squarely within the charge of the Recreation and Parks Commission, in my opinion. The City of Davis General Plan mandates that your commission advise the council on all matters related to parks and recreation. Furthermore, the plan includes a very clear standard. All feasible alternatives shall be considered prior to converting parkland to other uses. This standard must be upheld in the case of Wildhorse, which I've already mentioned is designated parkland. I think the negative impact of development of that course would be dramatic, and a great opportunity to play golf, to exercise, and to enjoy nature would be lost. The Wildhorse is the only, as you've heard, 18-hole public championship course in Davis and the surrounding 20 miles, and it serves both the high school, youth with discounted rates, and seniors with affordable, accessible recreation. Loss of this space would therefore result in erosion of recreational opportunities to many Davis citizens, young and old. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service. I sincerely hope you will continue to be faithful and thoughtful custodians of Davis Parkland and its myriad and vital recreational, health and wellness benefits. Thank you.
Go ahead. I almost closed it on you, so.
I know.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Jennifer Candello, just a representative and a volunteer for Davis AYSO and Davis AYSO United. We're a huge group here in town. We rent a plethora of city fields and work as a partnership with the city for our recreational soccer. We are a community-based soccer, and we have from adults all the way to kids to 4 and 5 years old out there playing soccer, and that's really our goal. We also work with the school district and partner with them and utilize some of those fields as well. But our big partnership is here with the city. We rent the fields, we pay for the fields. I just want to make sure that they have the resources that they need to give us quality soccer fields so these kids can play and have a good experience. The fields need work. Some are at a point that they may not be playable for our fall soccer coming up in September. And I talk with them on a regular basis. I email them. They know what they need. I just want to make sure that they have the support and the resources in order for them to give us the quality fields that I think we all should provide for these kids playing soccer. And put the priority to where the use is. If we're renting the fields for a very large cost, I feel like the money should be, and the resources should be available to them so they can do their job and give us the best possible fields for them. That's all, thanks.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and close public comment and move to item 5, to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial, require no discussion, and are expected to have unanimous support. The consent calendar will be enacted by one motion. Commissioners may request items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion or action. So at this time, it looks like we have one item on there, and it's just the Recreation and Park Commission minutes from May 21st. Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda, the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? No, okay, all in favor, so 5-0, please. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to item number 6. The regular item on the agenda is our annual review of our landscape maintenance standards. Looks like the process of the review will start with the commission receiving some informational review from the parks manager, Dave Knighton. Then the commission will have an opportunity to ask any clarifying questions, and we'll open for public comment, and then the commission can have a discussion on the topic. And Dave, at this point, I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dave Knighton. I'm the Parks Manager for the City of Davis. With me tonight is Matthew Trevino, who is the Parks Supervisor for the City of Davis. And we've also asked Prince Rahal and Harry Brown from Brightview Landscape Services, who are our contracted services for the city, to join us as well to present a little bit of information on the implementation of the landscape maintenance standards. The City of Davis maintains a large and diverse portfolio, over 260 acres of parks and 197 acres of green belts, plus streetscapes, medians, and other public landscapes. In July of 2024, we rolled out our landscape maintenance standards with the goals of improving service delivery, sustainability, safety, and operational efficiency. Today, we're providing a high-level summary of what we've achieved, what remains challenging, and where we believe we're headed next. As a reminder, the purpose of the standards were to ensure proactive, efficient maintenance of public landscapes, extend asset life and reduce reactive maintenance, and provide safe, clean, and welcoming public spaces. Our organizational structure is set up internally with 2 teams, a park landscape maintenance team as well as an irrigation team, and our staff includes supervisors, technicians, crew leads, and maintenance workers. Here's a breakdown of what our staffing levels are with 1 manager, 1 park supervisor, an irrigation supervisor, 2 crew leads, 6 maintenance worker 2s, 3.75 irrigation techs, and 1 sports field maintenance technician. We've seen successes in 5 key areas since we've implemented the landscape maintenance standards. The first of which is turf maintenance is more consistent and visibly improved. We've implemented routine mowing, edging, and aeration, and we have plans to extend that to fertilization, top dressing, and overseeding where applicable. Second, our preventative maintenance model has reduced emergency work and improved how we allocate our resources. Third, we're using herbicides more strategically under our integrated pest management policy, reducing manual weed removal, and also reducing our impacts on our staff with labor-intensive practices. Fourth, we've improved accountability and efficiency through technology like the Go Request system, mobile inspections, and the development of a quality assurance program. And finally, we've started transitioning to electric equipment ahead of the 2024 statewide gas-powered mandates. With that in mind, I'm going to turn this over to Matt Trevino, who is going to update you on where we are with our conversion to electric equipment in the field.
Good evening. So I'm just going to touch on these 3 points here. So in terms of inventory and usage, park staff have tested several battery-powered tools for varying vendors. These include Steel, Greenworks, Milwaukee, and others. Today, our battery inventory exceeds 110 units that support our daily field usage for our operations. Most tools, such as the string trimmers, the hedge trimmers, and the edgers, perform at or above the level of gas-powered equipment, with some varying outcomes depending on the application in the field. Blowers do remain to be less effective due to limited run times and the large number of battery usage and the needs to get the same level of production. In terms of charging, daily charging is required to ensure maintenance equipment is available for each day. On average, we're seeing about 6 to 10 batteries per maintenance worker is needed to provide sufficient maintenance outcomes. And again, this does vary based on the project and the expected outcomes. Currently, our parks maintenance yard is not able to handle our large inventory of batteries. So to counter this, we installed a TOA system, which is a multi-outlet system that allows us to charge dozens of batteries at one time overnight. If we did not have these systems incorporated, we would be without batteries to be used out in the field. So in terms of charging times, we're typically seeing about 1 to 8 hours, depending on the battery and the manufacturer. For performance outcomes, Steel and Greenworks have proven to be the most effective for our uses out in the field. This is due to the durability, battery life, performance, and digital features that are on the equipment. Milwaukee does show promise, but at this time, I'm not moving forward with that manufacturer, and Ego equipment proved not to be useful for our commercial uses. For this slide here, just kind of shows the comparison between gas-powered and electric equipment as far as cost goes. There's a higher cost incorporated with electric equipment because of higher cost with gas. I'm sorry, I did have that right.
Yeah.
Apologies. Higher cost for electricity because of the specialized motors that are within the equipment to have them serviced. We have had to have already one of our newest battery blowers be replaced because it blew out a motherboard. As far as maintenance frequency, again, the electric equipment is coming in a little higher because of the consistent use that we're seeing, as well as the implementation of the batteries. The batteries do run out of life over a certain number of charges, so we're seeing a reoccurrence with those replacements. Runtime, gas-powered equipment is still showing to have a much longer runtime. Again, this is with the high requirements of the battery. Emissions and noise, so the electric equipment is quieter and obviously does not provide any, or does not give off any exhaust. Power output, we're seeing the same with the emissions. And for operator comfort, my staff are moving towards becoming more familiar and comfortable using electric equipment because it is lighter, it's quieter, and it does not give off radiant heat from the exhaust or from the engines.
Additionally, with the implementation of the landscape maintenance standards, we've expanded our training programs, particularly in safety, customer service, playground inspections, and IPM. These efforts are crucial as we bring on new equipment and systems. Some of the, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Upcoming, the city will be implementing a asset management program that will enable us to input routine schedules, reactive maintenance, work order systems. The rest of city operations throughout the city and public works are already using this asset management system, and so we look forward to being able to join them in the use of that and also being able to communicate interdepartmentally with some of the crossover maintenance responsibilities we have, such as facilities and drinking topics. Our 6-tier maintenance priority framework helps us allocate resources where they're most needed. We have 2 main crews, one focused on general parks, the other on irrigation, supported by specialized and admin staff. As you can see here, these are our 6 operational priorities. Safety hazards obviously will always come first, and then we work our way down to aesthetic enhancements past routine maintenance. So we consider aesthetic enhancements things that we can do to just make the park better. Sort of those extra details that we strive to get to, but sometimes are challenged by resources and staffing. We use a hybrid model. Contractors cover smaller parks and greenbelts while our in-house teams maintain larger and specialized sites. The model has been efficient but still requires stronger oversight and quality control, which has led to the development of a quality assurance policy that we've recently implemented, enabling us to work together to make sure that the standards of our contracts are being met as well as the standards of the LMS. For our contract oversight, Matt and Harry meet weekly to discuss priorities throughout the week, to go over our work order system and to schedule out routine services. Quarterly, our management team and our director, we meet with Brightview's management team and we discuss the overall services and how the contract services are going. And so the communication is excellent in our opinion. Brightview tends to be very responsive to our needs and have been excellent in helping us not only roll this out, but giving us feedback on how we can better implement some of our systems. Some of the challenges that we have faced since rolling this out are seasonal weather patterns leading to unpredictable weed cycles. You may have seen in the past couple of years that we've had an uptake in weeds throughout the city. There are multiple reasons for that, but one of them has been that we've had these inconsistent weather patterns where just this year we had rain and then sun and then rain and then sun again, which actually sped up the timetable on when the weeds emerged this year. And so typically we were seeing those in the late spring. Now we're seeing them as soon as February and January, which has shifted some of our priorities. Additionally, electric blowers have required us to use more batteries per shift per person and still aren't as powerful as their gas counterparts. Staffing and budget limitations have forced us to scale some maintenance standards to more realistic levels. We met with Commissioner Ono to discuss weed abatement practices, and during that conversation, we discussed that some of the initial percentages of acceptable infestations that we hope to maintain levels at is just not realistic based on our staffing levels and the resources available to us. And so, as we mentioned when we first rolled out the LMS, it is a fluid document and it's something that we review annually. My team and I actually review it monthly to discuss where we are, what things we're implementing successfully, and then what things we need to change so that we can be realistic in what it is we're presenting to the public. Our IPM policy restricts the use of herbicides throughout more than 80% of our maintained areas, creating labor-intensive and temporary solutions such as weed eating. We're still building our asset management system, as I mentioned, and once that is in place, we'll need extensive staff training once it's operational. And finally, one of our biggest challenges has been balancing public expectation with limited staffing and environmental goals. Some of the lessons that we've learned and where we're heading, we're going to continue to expand our electrical equipment fleet, especially exploring better performing blowers. We hope to secure more funding for battery storage and faster charging systems. We're improving oversight mechanisms for both staff and contractors, and we're continuing seasonal workforce training to enhance interdepartmental coordination. In conclusion, the updated LMS represents a major shift towards sustainability and efficiency. While progress is evident, we still have work to do in areas like workforce capacity, technology adoption, and balancing public expectations. We appreciate your ongoing support, and we look forward to the feedback that you'll provide us with.
As Brightview is preparing, I just wanted to bookend the presentation tonight with some context, because I feel context is obviously really important. And with respect to resources, we heard a public comment tonight talking about resource allocation, but I want, when we're thinking about the service that we provide to the community, to be thinking about these benchmarks. So, for example, following the reassignment of one of our park maintenance workers to the downtown core, which was a necessity, right? Because the downtown needed to be maintained. So we took one of our park maintenance workers, put them downtown. We then only had 7 full-time employees responsible for parkland maintenance. That is 203 acres in total, right? Because we do contract other percentage out, but 203 acres of city service parkland and green belts amongst 7 people. So what that translates into an individual workload is 29 acres per full-time employee. So for some larger context, the National Recreation and Park Association's median is 13 acres per full-time employee. ICMA, their best practice target is 12 acres per FTE. And again, ours is 29 acres per FTE. And with that, want to add that not all green space is created equal. So when we're talking about the kinds of green spaces we maintain and that we have in the city, they're very unique. They require special applications of all different kinds of methodologies and taking care of them, especially with our IPM policy. That I just want us all to keep that in mind as we're talking about resource allocation and some of our limitations in rolling out our services.
Thank you, Dan. I'm not sure if you guys had something planned to say, or you were just going into the hot seat so we can ask lots of questions to you. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. So first, I just want to commend Dave and all of your staff, and thank you to Brightview. We recognize, I am a lifelong Davis resident. I grew up here, and I recognize the love and importance of all of our parks and green spaces, and we see you guys out there working really hard in the hot sun and freezing weather, and we appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to making our spaces a wonderful place. It's not always a great job because I know you get lots of complaints and criticisms and judgments, but there are a lot of wonderful people that really appreciate your hard work. So first and foremost, before we drill you guys in the hot seat, okay, we want to thank you for all of your efforts. So with that being said, I would like to be respectful of the Brightview folks' time. And if you have clarifying questions, please ask them to them now, and then we will let them go and have them be able to enjoy the rest of their night. So let's start with questions there first, and then if we can hold our questions for the city staff afterwards, that would be great. Okay, Commissioner Ono, why don't you start us off?
All right, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Dave and the city staff for your presentation and meeting with me. I've been involved with the park maintenance standards as this commission approved them and moved them forward. And I know it's a lot of work and it's a challenge to meet those standards. So I wondered, we heard from Dave about the city. I wondered if, Harry, you could describe a little bit about the resources and the acreage that Brightview is responsible for in the northwest and southeast areas, maybe southwest, northeast, I'm not sure I have it.
Northwest, southeast.
Both the northwest and the southeast contracts.
Right. So I'd be curious to hear about the resources you bring in acreage that your staff is responsible for, and the challenges you're seeing in meeting, in looking at these standards and trying to implement them.
Right. So we handle close, a little bit better than 300 acres, green belts, streetscapes, medians, parks, mowing, of course, all the maintenance responsibilities. My biggest challenge, which Dave and Matt touched on, was weeds. We're always up against weeds. If you went to the city of Woodland, or you went to the city of West Side, or you went, they're allowed to use pesticides, right? So it's frustrating. So we go through a lot of weed whacker training. We go through a lot of equipment, which we understand. We're responsible for that. We have made the conversion of the electrical equipment, and we're finding the same success in some areas that Matt had touched on. The weed whackers, we're having great success with those. Unfortunately, on everything else, like the blowers and the hedge trimmers, The hedge trimmers are actually great. I mean, there's a lot of pluses. We love being on electric. We don't want gas. We don't want that danger. But the thing is, the hedge trimmers, when we're dealing with heavy pruning, they just don't do it. They just don't do it. And what I mean by that, they don't cut like, they're sharp, they just don't have that force yet. Matt and I continue to like swap equipment, try different things, trying to improve the approach, whether it's battery usage, battery length, and so on. And, you know, we're having some good luck. We're having some good luck with hedge trimmers. It just depends on the landscape that we're approaching. So that's my biggest challenge as far as I'm concerned. The blowers, yeah, we're still not there, especially during the wet season, during the rainy season. No. And does electric slow you down? Sure it does. Sure it does. But you know that's the way it goes. Emissions are down, and you know we're getting used to it. We're getting used to it. We've come a long way since 2024. We're still having some charging issues also. But we have an adequate amount of equipment. We definitely have. We've got a container full. And like today, Bob, we were at Cannery, and my crew was 100% electric there today. And then we were over the Royal Greenbelt, over by the Royal Park, doing that Greenbelt, and we found ourselves using some gas trimmers where we needed to. But my teams are equipped with both battery and to use first and foremost, and then backed up with gas trimmers just in case we need to use them.
We heard from the city that they have, per Parks employee, about 29 acres assigned. For Brightview staff, is that similar or is that different in terms of number of employees to acres?
I would say it's not necessarily acreage. We're staffing based on seasonality. So for us, especially during the growing season in summer, we're going up to head count and workload, right? We could go anywhere from, I would say, average, if you had to guess, what would you say? Anywhere from between 20 and 30 acres per FTE.
Yeah,
it really depends.
Closer to 20, probably 25.
Yeah, so it really depends on time of the year. And just to add to that electric equipment, this isn't the only municipality or site that we use electric equipment. We have multiple other municipalities and campuses where we have gone and tested a lot of the battery equipment. The biggest difference is the campuses, they allow us to charge on site. So the turnaround time where we have to run back to the shop to get more batteries is lower. The other thing that we're trying is we're trying to have batteries right on our trailers. Charge a big battery pack right on the trailers and have batteries plugged to that. So there's a lot of different things that we're testing when it comes to electric equipment too. We haven't found the right formula yet, but we're always trying new things, and then we're going to continue trying that. And just to add to Harry there, when it comes to handheld equipment, we want to use 100% electric, but there are challenges when it comes to leaf season or heavy pruning, hard pruning, that we might need to go to our backup, which is gas.
Thank you.
Thank you. It seems like it kind of affects some of staff efficiencies also if you're having to leave the site and go find out if you can charge your batteries and all those things. And I think that it also creates some nuances with the variability in weather and unpredictable variables that you may come across in terms of being able to have both sets of equipment seems very reasonable. Commissioner Siegel.
Thank you. First of all, the notion that you guys have about 2.5 times the amount of acreage than is standard is actually unfortunate and very impressive that you're able to do that. So thanks for that. Look, just a couple of questions. What percentage of the equipment is electric, would you say? Half of it, 25%, 75%? Do you have a sense of it? I didn't catch that.
So all of our small tools are electric. So blowers, any handheld equipment, it's 100% electric that we assign to our crews. However, as a backup, they also have gas equipment in case they run out of batteries, right? In case they come on to a site where it's required to use gas because the electric is just not doing the job. But we've gone to 100% electric on hand tools. However, there might be times that you see our guys using gas.
Is that the same in the city staff, Willis do staff?
Yeah, very similar. We also strive to use 100% electric where feasible and possible, but it is not always feasible and possible for us to do so. In terms of our inventory, we're about at 60% electric and 40% gas powered. The city was able to tap into some programs through the state where we were able to do some exchanges of our gas powered for electric equipment, so we did some cost savings there on that. And then as Matt had mentioned before, we've been working with manufacturers to test equipment in the field. So they'll drop things off for us and allow us to use them in the field for a couple of weeks. We give them our feedback on what that real-time usage looks like, and then they take that back to their developers. And so it's kind of a nice symbiotic relationship where they get to use us to test their equipment, and then they get that feedback from us with the intent of improving performance so that we can 100%, ideally within the next couple of years here, 100% transition over to electric equipment.
Thanks. So you mentioned something which at least puzzled me. You said you're not allowed to charge on site, but at universities you are. First of all, I don't actually understand what that, does that literally mean you can't charge your batteries on site, I mean in the parks? And I guess the question is why?
Well, so power sources are limited in the parks and the green belts, right? When you're in a green belt specifically, there's not just outlets anywhere for you to plug into. So our staff, we come back every single night. We put every battery that was in use, whether it's down to 80% or whether it's down to 0%. We put everything on the charger for the evening so that we have 100% charged batteries by the following day. And then we send our teams out with anywhere from 5 to 10 batteries, depending on the workload for the day, per person, in order to keep up with the needs of electric.
So it's just a matter of the availability.
Yes,
of power.
it's not, we're not permitting
hazard or some other reason for that. It's just.
No, it's really
power.
availability.
I see, okay, I didn't understand that. Do you anticipate that it seems like the future should be better batteries, better, stronger equipment, because on the chart that you showed, everything seemed to favor electric, including comfort of the workers because of noise and pollution and the weight of the equipment. But the other two areas that weren't in favor of electric were their power, their strength, I guess, and also how long they last. So you think that's going to change over?
I believe so.
Is everybody the same? Clearly you're in touch with other municipalities around the country, right?
I think with our feedback to these manufacturers, because we do the same thing, they strive to make improvements. They give us prototypes like they do you guys. Yeah. And I think we see a future in battery, no doubt about it. No, with improvements.
Well, it may be simplistic, but if you can drive a car for 300 miles with a battery, it seems like.
Right, we don't disagree with you.
We're hoping the batteries get.
Obviously.
We don't disagree with you. We have seen advances in the technology. We've certainly seen improved run times with batteries. It just, in terms of a comparison with gas-powered equipment, they're just so far apart right
now. If I may, the safety program you have for limbs on trees, that must be, how do you do that? Make sure limbs don't fall off trees and people?
Trees actually aren't under the Parks Department's purview. We do some tree maintenance, but it's really centered around safety. So we raise canopies to 12 feet so that if you're on a walk path or a sidewalk, that you're able to get through there safely and not get hit in the face by something. But in terms of structural pruning or crotch dropping or things like that, we don't do that. That's urban forestry who does that. Our responsibility focuses mainly around safety, and so we ask our staff and our contract staff to report any potential hazards that we see out in the field. And that's part of that asset management program that the rest of the city is on. They develop a work order out of that. We get a response that way. They go out and do an assessment, and then whatever corrections need to be made, they take care of, and then generally we'll get a response letting us know that it was taken care of. So we're looking forward to being on that same asset management program so that we can communicate back and forth that way. It'll streamline the way that the workforce system flows.
Are you in charge of bike paths?
In the park, not on the streets, no,
I mean,
just,
on the green belt, for
yes.
example. So,
Not the infrastructure itself, but keeping them clear.
keep it clear, so the issue of what proportion are paved is not something, because people know that I'm on this commission, so they come to me and say, how come these bike paths are not paved? But that has nothing to do with you.
No, the paving of any sort is done through Public Works.
Public Works. So you're also not then, have nothing to do with the road up to the Little League field, the one that's west of F Street, which is, in my view, one of the, probably the worst road in Davis.
Yeah, no, we're not engineering,
Road goes past Paul's place.
no, we're not engineering and transportation, and we're not utilities and operations.
Having grandchildren playing Little League, I got some comments about that as well.
That would be H
Nothing to do with us.
Street.
Was that
That would be H Street.
H Street?
Yeah.
It's the worst road.
Along the railroad?
Yeah, along the railroad.
That'd be H
That's probably the worst road in all of Davis.
I agree.
Yeah, try driving a tractor down it.
All right,
Thank you.
any other thing?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. Commissioner Marigo, you're up.
Commissioner LaFleur.
Rick,
I'm sorry.
just call me Rick.
I was looking at his name. You're up.
Thank you. And I also want to compliment the Brightview staff out there. I just really appreciate seeing you guys working, especially out in those hot summer days, but also the cold winter times too. So you guys do a great job. So I live out at Mace Ranch, and this may be a green streets versus green belt question really, but I'll see frequently out there, it looks like irrigation lines dying, they don't get detected, but you will see the landscape basically die out. And sometimes it seems to get repaired. More often than not, I would say the landscape just dies out, looks pretty bad, and then it just turns bare. So I'm wondering, maybe this is more a question for city staff, and maybe this isn't a parks thing, since I see a lot of this along the streets, maybe it's Public Works, but I wonder, is there some kind of an effective landscape management plan out there that actually looks at actually replacing plant materials and maybe with drought tolerant versus the stock that seems to be standard subdivision plant materials that were planted back when Mace Ranch was developed? Is there some proactive way to manage that changing landscape out there?
So part of our initiative, if I'm understanding your question correctly, in the upcoming years, and I believe it's part of our strategic plan, is to look at areas that we can convert to drought-tolerant landscapes. And so selecting natives, selecting things that have low water usage, that is part of our goals for the upcoming years. We're identifying areas where we believe that would be feasible. Pollinator gardens are another system that we'd like to see more of throughout the city. So we are developing that right now, currently trying to identify areas where that would be feasible and reasonable to do so. As far as the irrigation goes, our irrigation is actually on a centralized computer system. And so a lot of our routine and system checks are developed around that system. And so we have a computer that will tell us if we have high flows, or it'll give us warnings that are usually indicative of a break or something malfunctioning with the system. And then if it's in one of our internally staffed areas, our team will go out and they'll take care of that. If it's in a contracted area, Harry's team meets with Matt and Dan Islander, who's our irrigation supervisor, and they'll go over the areas that we'd like them to either perform system checks or take care of work orders that we've gotten in the system for breaks or any reported malfunctions.
So along the streets, so is that still parks or is that Public Works, like along Alhambra that goes through where I'll see it?
That'll be parks.
Parks, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The irrigation would be parks.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful, thanks. And I had one other question. We heard earlier they were talking about some of the condition of some of the areas of the soccer fields, and fall is coming upon us. I would assume soccer field maintenance is a highly specialized thing, and we heard you talk about your staffing allocations and the like. So when
when conditions like that are noted, how does the city respond to that? How do you step up your maintenance to address specific issues like that? Or does AYSO have some kind of a committee that comes out and works in some of these areas? How does this work to work these problems out ahead of time?
So anytime we receive reports of unsafe conditions or anything like that, we'll go out and we'll conduct an assessment, and then we will work to make corrections. Sometimes those are short-term corrections because a long-term correction may force us to shut down a field or a facility for an extended period of time, which affects programming. And then usually in the off-season, that's when we'll plan our more long-term work to do, for soccer fields, for instance, some aeration to break up soil compaction, overseeding, top dressing, fertilization, things like that. That is part of our program that we're currently trying to build. When I took over Parks 5 years ago, one of the first questions I asked of my predecessor was, what is your turf maintenance program? And I was told the city hadn't had one for 15 years. So it's been one of the top initiatives for Matt and myself to develop a turf maintenance program for the city that we can implement. Unfortunately, as we've mentioned, with so many acres of land and so few staff to manage it, it's been one of those things that's been difficult for us to implement because time and really time constraints and staffing constraints have made that difficult. But knowing that that turf is used more so than what we would deem recreational turf, we try to give that a little bit more attention than some of our areas, say Robert Arneson Park, that is not really programmed. We're going to focus more heavy attention to making sure that those fields where our kids are playing on are more safe.
Okay, I just want to add to this too, because I think it's a little more complex or nuanced. I think that there are a number of fields in Davis that perhaps weren't intended to be recreational fields that have become recreational fields out of necessity because we haven't grown really, and yet youth sports continues to grow. And so the needs continue to pile up, but the space in which to conduct those activities in the public sphere have not. So that's part of it, is that if a particular location was never designed for that type of use, then you're going to run into problems at some point. And then of course, just over time, as conditions sort of deteriorate, there does become a need for a full investment of, for example, a releveling, a resurfacing project. And so when, for example, we became aware of the South Davis Library project, and we knew that that would eat away at a recreational field, which is very much needed in town, we started to investigate the feasibility and likelihood of redeveloping an additional green space, so North Star Park, for the purpose of playing soccer, for example. And we have gone through the entire exercise of figuring out what kind of investment would be required to re-level that field, and maybe Dave can speak to it more specifically if folks are interested. But what we're finding in the initial feedback on price tag for that is $900,000. So this is not an inexpensive endeavor. This requires extensive allocation of resources that we just do not have at our disposal. So we're always looking for ways to share space, to keep the spaces that are super activated. That's the other thing too, very activated spaces. And so when you have spaces that are in constant use, of course, deterioration is just going to occur because they're always used. So I don't know if you want to add, if I've missed anything.
No, I think that's perfectly well stated. We're running out of space, and the areas that we would like to develop, it's not really cost effective for us to do so without going into a capital project.
I appreciate that discussion from both of you. That's very helpful. So between now and fall, if these folks in the back do have some hot spots, what might be their best way to bring this to city's attention?
So Jennifer is actually, she's in communication with us about the state of the fields. We have annual meetings with the user groups, all sports user groups. We discuss field conditions.
Aquatics as well.
Aquatics as well, yeah. So we try to work with the user groups to really understand what their needs are, to make sure that we're working together on scheduling and programming, things like that, and to give the opportunity to let us know what the needs of the facilities are. And that pretty much extends across the board with DYSA, Little League, you know, all of our user groups. You know, we try to make sure that we're taking their input and their feedback, and we're using that to develop our programs.
And so with that, things that are within our control and our ability to fix at our level and our allocated budget, we will of course do. But certain things, right, like releveling North Star Park, and we don't have $900,000. So that might be where you start to see some formal asks of this commission, and then of course you can recommend up to council, et cetera, as to where money ultimately gets allocated from the general fund. But that's I think what we're hearing tonight is just maybe a call for resource allocation.
Thank you, great balancing act, and I think you're all doing great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Okay. I mean, I, of course, have a very soft spot in my heart for soccer. I grew up playing UISL myself for a long time. I played at the Davis what used to be DYSL. I coached there for a long time, so I have a very partial opinion about soccer and soccer fields. I will say it's expanded exponentially since I was playing a long time ago, and I do know that a lot of, you know, when I was playing, AYSO was fall and like a smidgy of like a spring season. Now, you know, there's United and other groups that are using the fields a lot more year-round than we did. I mean, when we grew up, there were seasons for sports, and you got to play more than one sport, and you didn't have to play one sport your whole year. So I hope that, you know, we can figure out a way to address, you know, their needs as well, and I know you guys are working hard to address what you can. And I did grow up playing on the North Star soccer fields as well when they were in effect, and I can't say that there's tons of soccer fields that are all level, so, you know, sometimes you just gotta decide if you wanna go uphill or downhill in the first half or the second half. So, all right, anyways, so I'm glad to hear that that's all addressed, and I hope that we can continue to support all of our co-user and sponsor groups, not just soccer, but aquatics and cricket and all the other groups as well. So, and I know it's a give and take of a bit of a relationship, but we appreciate you guys coming forward and making your concerns be known as well. So, does anybody have any other questions for the Brightview? Gentlemen, we would like for you to have some sort of an evening left. So thank you for joining us, and we appreciate you guys coming very much.
Thank you.
All right. At this point, do we have any other, no other questions for city staff before I open public comment? Okay, so we'll go ahead and open public comment. If anybody would like to comment on item number 6, the annual review of landscape management standards. No? Okay, we're gonna close public comment. And we're gonna go ahead and, any discussion items for this? Go ahead, Commissioner Allen.
Yes, over the last several days, I've actually visited about 10 of the parks in Davis and tried to look at the park maintenance issues within those parks, but also talk to a number of residents who use those parks on a regular basis. And I will say that the comments I received was people were pretty pleased. They thought the city's doing a good job, and Brightview is doing a good job of maintaining our parks. That's not to say that they didn't have some ideas and suggestions. One of the things, well, I'll mention a couple things. I did talk to a number of pickleball and tennis players, and they were suggesting, and I mentioned this today to Dave and Matt, that maybe there should be a sign alerting to people when the courts have leaves or debris that could be slippery. And it might remind people to bring blowers or brooms or what have you, because they were saying that they thought with new pickleball players or new tennis ball players, they aren't familiar with the courts, not aware that it could be a safety issue. So that was an idea that came up. Also, I think there was some confusion about maybe some of the standards need clarification. And I think I talked to Dave and Matt about this today. There's a vague standard that talks about trees, depending on diameter, need tree wells and mulch, but it's not really clear what diameter we're speaking about. So maybe there's a need to review the standards and clarify where possible. And that means that then citizens, residents, as they look at the standards, would have a better idea as to what the standard means. Because I think a reasonable job is being done, it's just not very clear. The other thing we talked about was 29 acres per FTE is a lot of land. So maybe there's a way to look at, within the maintenance list, if there are certain things that should have higher priority than others. For example, picnic areas, playground maintenance, and sports fields as well, courts. But maybe it's hard to address everything with 29 acres per person. But maybe if there was a priority setting, it might help. And then communicating that maybe through the Facebook pages that park maintenance has a big list of things to do, and they're working as best as they can with city staff and the contractors, but these are the priorities that we're going to focus on. And we'll try to get to everything else, but help people understand in the high visibility areas, high use areas would get higher attention, because it's, to me, if I have to deal with 29 acres per person, you just look at that and say, where do I start? Because there's just too much to do. But those are my comments. I think generally people are pleased, but there's always some areas for improvements, and maybe these ideas might help. I will say that if there is some clarification of the standards, it would be great to communicate that to the commission so that we know when we go out to the parks that there's some clarifications in these particular areas. And if there's any misunderstanding or unknowns in the community, we can help explain that as well as part of the unofficial outreach of the commissioners. I think that's it for my suggestions, comments.
Great. Any other comments? I do think, prioritization discussions are always good. It creates transparency and expectation, and I think that then there's less judgment and a little bit more leniency, when it comes to that. I also think that, I had no idea that there was 7 staff to cover all of 200 and something acres. That's unbelievable, and yeah, oh, okay. So so 7 FTE is not filled.
Currently we have 2 park worker vacancies.
So you have 5 FTE doing 200 plus acres right now, including plus you two. So you guys get your share of your hedging and flowing and all those things too. Okay, good.
Matt and I handle most of the special projects so that our staff can stay on routine maintenance. We also have currently another staff member who's out right now on paternity leave. So currently we're actually.
So you're at 4. Okay. So that actually changes the number, the average a little bit. Okay. So go ahead. We'll have a park day and everybody can bring their mowers to the park and we can. Okay. All right. Wow. That's a lot. So I do think that that's an important thing that people need to understand, right? Because without knowing that, it's easy to pass a lot of judgment and criticism. And I think that, being a little bit more transparent about priorities or staffing for that matter is really critical,
Go ahead, Dan. I just want to say that, yes, our department has a duty to educate the public about the resource constraints, right? We're very lucky that we do have a lot of folks in town who volunteer their time. For example, Davis Picks It Up. I mean, they're a fantastic organization. They help us with a lot of stuff downtown and in some other places, making our load lighter, you know? Tree Davis being another organization who we lean on quite a bit just for their expertise and so we appreciate those relationships and we lean on those organizations and the community as a force multiplier. But something I wanted to mention is that, and something we're committed to, is first the standards are a living document, much like our budget documents and our strategic plan and so forth. So changing them as we go forward is absolutely expected, and we want it to be iterative, we want it to improve on it, and that's why we come back to it and revisit it year after year. So we would bring those changes back to the commission and update the commission. And with that, we are really looking to improve our service with technology. So our staff have updated the commission tonight on technology relating to asset management and some tools, but we do have we've piloted like autonomous mowers, for example, in enclosed spaces. It's kind of like, think of it as a Roomba for a field, right? So if we can deploy something like that in a closed and safe space, then the person who would typically be mowing, right, can be doing some different kinds of landscaping work. So that being an example. Another example being we've just purchased a sports field piece of equipment that can level our sports fields, which, you know, we formerly would do literally with a shovel and would take many hours, but I can let him expound on that.
It's called the Z23 Force. We're pretty excited about it. It does have self-leveling capacities for sports fields, for baseball and softball fields. It can help with transitions. It can help with some of the turf maintenance that we have out there in terms of seeding and over top dressing. So it's a pretty multifaceted machine, and we're fortunate that we were able to go ahead and purchase that this year, and we're looking forward to getting that out on the field and seeing what it can do and how it will lessen the impact on the labor-intensive work that our staff at play fields and our sports fields do.
So again, it's just like, we like to say, work smarter, not harder, right? So we have to start looking for these tools that can help really force multiply for us.
Sure, seems like a good long-term investment. All right, great. Any other comments? We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next item. It's just informational, right? So you don't need any, okay, great. So we'll move on to the final item on our calendar here, the long-range calendar. And Tamika, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Okay, I apologize, Commissioners, that I forgot to put in this document into your packet. Usually I have the long-range calendar at a glance for you, but I did not include it. But it's okay, nothing has changed on it from the last time you saw it, except for that we have this meeting with our landscape maintenance standards review. We are on recess in August, so we will not be seeing you, so happy summer month. But we will plan to come back in September, and that's when we have our summer recap review, where we have staff come and talk about all the summer programs and what a great success. Today actually marks our halfway point of summer, and so our staff are very happy that we have made it through with only 2 days of over 100 degrees. That's amazing so far. I know. So we're celebrating today, but we don't know what will happen for the next 5 weeks. But otherwise, October and November are open for us. We don't have anything scheduled, so if it stays that way, then we would not meet. And December is another recess period. Going forward, we may want to look and see if we want to have recess at the same time as council. Right now, they are on recess for the month of July. Previously, it was August, and that's why we had our August date, so we can talk about that as we get further along if we want to align with council's recess time. We're lucky enough to have Linda come and join us on her recess month. And some other items that were on the list of things for us to consider but didn't have any kind of set date or actual time period was
anything on the daylighting laws and parks. And that was it. So we have nothing for August because we don't meet, and then September is just our follow-up from summer.
Do any commissioner members have any clarifying questions? Go ahead.
Was wondering for either July or August 2026, we could have another annual report on park maintenance. See how things are going.
Yeah, I would say that's on our like standard, our standard repeat and review kind of thing, so.
And then the parks and daylighting law compliance, do you know if we're making any progress on adding that to the agenda by a particular date?
I don't. I had spoke with Ryan Chapman, the new director for engineering and transportation, and was just asking how the curbing is painted in different locations. And so they started in the downtown area, and I asked specifically around like the parks. And he said that at this point right now, they're implementing based on either request or complaint. And so they haven't implemented going out further than the downtown area at this point.
Okay. My concern would be from a safety perspective with children or people who are looking for the sports field and not paying attention to the crosswalks, that vehicle safety could be an issue. So perhaps
I can go staff to staff and have further conversations with engineering and transportation and just look at identifying parks as a priority for them on looking at painting for curbing, the red curbing, and see where they are on it, if you want me to do that.
perhaps there's a priority for parks that have a lot of activity during.
Yeah, like maybe our community parks.
Right. So
And special use parks.
It would be a challenge to paint curbs all throughout the city, but there might be some parks that be higher on the priority list. Maybe that's a discussion with Ryan.
Yeah, I can take that, Tim.
Any other commissioner have clarifying questions? No? All right. Any public comment for long-range calendar?
Well, I think you know what I'm gonna ask. So, I've heard a lot of good stuff about, wanting to help and make sure we have all these other sports taken care of. And I heard nothing about golf, but the reality is we really would appreciate and respectfully ask that you agendize a conversation about our concerns. I mean, otherwise we can keep coming back. It'll save everybody a lot of time. Just let us have a few minutes of informational presentation to give you guys, and then to get geared up for this is going to happen. I mean, they're going to submit this again, but we'd like to hear that there is some concern about this golf course because it is an amenity. Think of it this way: the city does not have to pay to mow it. It's self-sustaining in terms of like maintenance, right? So it's an amenity we want to keep. So after all these cost concerns, right? So I'm just imploring you, because otherwise you're just gonna make us keep coming back. Okay? So please let us have some time. And this is what a commission is for. You're to hear the voices of the citizens and to bring that information back to the council. So thank you.
I want to really thank you for allowing us to make comment at this point. And I want to draw on what was said about how much it would cost, $900,000 to flatten a field. So it probably would be very believable to you then that if Wild Horse Golf Course was diminished in size, that there would be a huge pressure on the Davis Municipal Golf Course, which is of course well within your purview, to expand it, and that the expansion of that golf course, from what we estimate, there's a huge piece of land right next to the Davis Municipal Golf Course, would cost at least $10 million. And that project was shelved in 1997 because of that cost, and because Wild Horse Golf Course was being built at that time. Wild Horse Golf Course opened in 1999. So, we implore you, as Eileen Sammons just did, to agendize this item, golf in general in Davis, and Wild Horse Golf Course in specific, at least for the educational aspects of that, to allow us to educate you on the history of the golf course and its parks aspects and how that all came about, and about, at least very briefly, about these development proposals. And we have, we've pulled, I've been researching this for the last year. I've done over 20 public records requests. I have all the public documents on the golf course, and even some of them on Davis Municipal Golf Course, and on the expansion proposal that took place in the 90s, and all the land that exists next to the Davis Mini Golf Course. And that land's just sitting there because Wild Horse Golf Course exists, and there was no need to expand that golf course. And just want to thank you again for allowing me to comment again. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment before we go ahead and, all right, we're going to close public comment, and any commissioners have any discussion items?
Well, I mean, maybe I'm the only one who's puzzled, I guess I am puzzled, by whether or not this discussion of this, I personally don't play golf, by the way, never have, despite being a physician, just as a joke. But at any rate, is this in our purview or not? I did see a brief email from Tamika that somehow this is not in our purview. I don't know. I mean, is there somebody who can interpret the rule? Maybe Councilmember Diaz can tell us. Is this in our purview or not in our purview? If it's not in our purview, then I guess it's a moot point. But if it is in our purview, then I see no reason why not to respond and agendize it. I'd like to be educated about what this issue is. That's all. And I'm not expressing an opinion about it one way or the other, but I continue to be puzzled by this discussion.
So the item that's coming forward to you from public comment is not an active proposal. There is no proposal that the city has right now on any kind of development plans for this location. The Wild Horse Golf Course is private. It is zoned in the master plan as park, but that's just talking about the zone use of it, not that it's a city park. The city does not own that land. There is an easement on the side, but that's with open space, and that's not us. So right now, without any kind of development proposal, it doesn't fall within our purview of deciding what happens to it because it's private. It would be as if, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an analogy. I can say like the university, if the university wanted to convert the fields right off of Russell, that's a field. I don't know what it's zoned for, so it's not, maybe not an apples to apples comparison, but that's not our land. We wouldn't be able to say, we wouldn't be able to discuss what happens to that land here because it's not within our purview of it being city property. So at this point, now if a proposal comes into the city and if council says, okay, this is a proposal for changing it from parkland to, I don't know, I'm not a land person, mixed use or residential or business zoning, then that may go to planning commission. And if it's some of interest for council to say, well, because it's designated as park, we want it to also go to Rec and Park Commission, then the council can direct it to say, hey, this needs to come to you all to say what kind of impact is this to you, or is this an impact to you? That would be up to council to decide. That wouldn't be for us to tell council. We're just advisory at this level. But right now, we don't have any form of development plan. But I've asked the city manager's office, they don't have anything in hand. So for us to talk about private land, it's not in our purview.
current scope and function talks about city or public land, and this is not that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion items? Anything else from the city council? All right, from staff, nothing. All right, well then, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn, and it is 8:10 PM. And any objections to adjourning? No? Okay. See everybody in September. Thank you.